Welcome to another edition of the Tiger Football Report. I'm your host, Spiro Brickus, along with the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose. Coach, team that's won 8 of the last 9 national championships in FCS football came into Johnny Unitas Stadium for the first time ever on Saturday. And, unfortunately, it looks like they're going to be contenders to win another one this year.
Of course they are. It's not a football team. That's a machine. It's not a secret. I mean, it's a machine. You know, they rolled up in an 18. I realized I knew they won a lot of national titles. I didn't know they won 16 in football. 16. And it's plastered all over their 18-wheeler pickup, 18-wheeler tractor trailer that they drive around with all their stuff and their equipment. So that was very impressive when I saw that. There's a culture there that is it's the community, it's the school, it's the football program, it's actually damn near the state, and everybody's in, and that's a heck of a team to beat.
Did they do anything that surprised you, or they do what they do and you got to stop them?
Correct. They do what they do. They were, after almost 2 decades of this, they recruit to do what they do. That's why coaches change and players change, but the scheme barely ever changes, and neither does the level of success. That it truly is a machine. And for what they do, they have gotten it to the point where it's almost flawless. And in some ways you have to be almost perfect every time to be able to stop them. So, and there were times that there's times that we did, but there's nothing around here that even comparable to that. And to be honest, we're going to go play San Diego State, and I'm not allowed to bet, but I'd say if San Diego State played North Dakota State, as good as that 3-0 San Diego State team is, I think you put your money on North Dakota State.
Really?
They're as good as any FBS football team in America, and they're that good, and they don't have to play an FBS schedule.
Yeah, well, you would assume that most FBS schools don't want to play.
They don't. I'd say they have a hard time getting games.
Right.
I don't even know the last time they lost their 1A game, and there's a reason.
A long time. The last one they won was against Iowa. They were ranked 11th in the country at the time. So, anyway, assess your team's performance on Saturday night.
Not good enough, and it's the bar. That you look at them and you want to win it. That's the standard, and the type of physicality, the continued physicality, the perfection, the darn near machine-like perfection of them. You can't simulate that in practice till you play them. Now, once you understand what it is, now you know how high the ladder is. Now you know how high you got to jump to dunk a basketball. Like, that is the bar. And now you know it. I think some of our guys got smacked in the mouth pretty early, didn't handle it too good. And then they stopped looking at the scoreboard and just started playing football 6 seconds at a time. And things got a little bit better. We found ways to stop them. We found ways to move the ball a little bit. Not pleased at all, because we want to win the damn thing. But you're going to have to figure out who they are before you can figure out how to beat them. And there's no way you can compare that until you go line up against a monster, hit him, and realize, all right, I got to hit him harder, and he's going to hit you, and I got to play that harder. And I think we learned as we went. I think we got tougher. I think we got smarter. And I think the whole thing was a pretty good educational experience. I would rather have an educational experience where you win, but it's an educational experience that they know what it takes to be elite at this level now.
All right, so now that they've played the best of the best in FCS football, you move on to a team that is 3-0 in FBS, Mountain West team that has wins against the Pac-12 in San Diego State. Does last week help you going into this week?
Sure, of course it does. I mean, they're a comparable model. Their defense is as good as North Dakota State's defense, and you can go look it up statistically. I think they give up maybe 80 yards of ground historically in the last 5 years, a game on the ground, averaging 14 points, giving up 14 points or less a game defensively. Offensively, they're not the same juggernaut that North Dakota State is, but they're still very, very talented. But defensively, they're as good as anybody our league will play this year. So, and they're 5,000 miles away. So playing North Dakota State, it helps. It was clearly a physical game for us, and this one's going to be very physical with a long travel in between. But the good news is we have a bye week on the back end.
Now, you mentioned that they don't give up yardage rushing the football, but they do rush the football well. much like North Dakota State, the gap is incredible. They rush for 246 yards a game. They only give up 56 yards a game rushing the football. So obviously, they want you to, I guess, try to pass the ball because they know they can stop you running it.
I suppose. I mean, if you're going to have a good defense, you have to stop the run, period. Before you can do anything else, you got to be able to stop the run. That's where all good defenses, the foundation of, come from. And they build their defense from the ground up that way. They're going to go, okay, try and run it. But they're also going to bring all kinds of heat and rush the passer if you throw it. And they got really good athletes, and they're really deep. They keep rolling guys in. So that's what good defenses do. We faced it last week, and now we're going to face another version of it on grass this week. And we have no other choice but to just keep getting better.
Yeah, 5 interceptions in the first 3 games and 12 sacks in the first 3 games. So do get after the pass rush. Now, they use 2 quarterbacks. Jordan Brookshire looks like he's more of a thrower. He's thrown it 33 times. And then Lucas Johnson, who's kind of a dual threat. How does that affect, they can mix and match their quarterback. That means you got to mix and match your defense to them. A little.
But what we saw last week was a dual threat guy, a guy that could chuck it down the field. He was also a serious threat to run the ball. So, you'd prefer to just have a one-dimensional guy to defend. But the fact that they got a dude with a fastball and a dude with a curveball, that'll be a little different. But the tweak in the mentality of how to defend them really isn't that big.
For you, Chris Ferguson, you pulled him 2 weeks ago against New Hampshire. How do you assess his performance last week heading into this week against San Diego State?
Improved from week 2 to week 3, made less mistakes, didn't turn the ball over, didn't throw the ball into coverage, and really had a pushing type of positive mentality and a tempo all week long and even through the game. That when it didn't go right, he led well, and then we did start throwing it, and he was taking some hits. He was still staying in there and delivering the ball and finding a way to get us down the field. So it's not. If you asked him, you asked me, we both say that not where it needs to be, but I'm asking him to get better every rep. I'm asking them all to get better every rep, just 6 seconds at a time, and keep stacking them. And if you do that long enough, good things tend to happen. So we just need to fight our way through this mess, fight our way through this extremely difficult patch of a schedule, and keep growing while we're doing it.
All right, Coach, we appreciate your time, and we will talk to you next week when you won't have a game to look forward to.
Yes, I will. I'll look forward to it'll be a bye week, and I hopefully get a chance to see my son play.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Tiger Football Report. Talk to you next week.